Now, finally, let's talk about the last mile of managing data with the experience platform. We started off with the sources, how to ingest the data. We found out, we did a demo on how to navigate the user interface to look at the features. We then went on to talk about the methods of data ingestion and how to standardize data to create a unified profile within the platform. We concluded that aspect with a Luma website that allows us to register a customer, generate a web traffic, to ingest the data into the platform, and we looked at the attribute details and also events generated by that. In the third aspect, we looked at the process of how to secure the data once it's ingested into the platform. And lastly, we were also able to then talk about the segmentation feature that allows us to create segments, qualifying profile fragments for specific activation of our choice. But then how do we then export that data for specific marketing actions of that we want to perform? When you get the core AEP, you get the source connectors. But for you to be able to export the data in real time, you need to subscribe to one of the 4 application services that we talked about. And in this case, we're talking about the real-time customer data platform application service. If you subscribe to this, then you get a collection of pre-built integration destinations that are included within the platform. So when you navigate to the connections workspace within the platform UI, in addition to seeing the categories of the source connectors, you will also find that you have categories of destination connectors. And so when you are going to actually export data and you want to make that a real-time export by activating your segment, you need to find the corresponding destinations that provides you ability to export the data to a destination of your choice. Out of the box, we do have 2 categories that we're going to talk about subsequently. The configuration of the destination connectors is the responsibility of a data engineer. And so we are going to assume that you have the responsibility to do that and you are given the privilege to do that. Activating segments, on the other hand, on those destinations could then be done by a marketer. And so we will explore those options that are available depending on what role you are playing, and you can export the data in real time on a destination. Bearing in mind, you also have some privacy services that allow or deny you the ability to export a profile fragment based on the data steward configuration for the use of that data. Out of the box, the platform provides you with 2 destination connector types. There's the connection, which is the inbuilt native integration with the platform. And there's also the extensions, which are based on the data collection properties, which are actually extensions. So which means you need to do some additional configuration for you to utilize them. So the first, when you first log into the platform, the first thing you will see is the connection type automatically checked. If you want to be able to see all the other types, then like the extensions, you need to check that. So looking at it from this perspective, like I said, the connection types are natively integrated with the platform, and there are a few examples like email marketing, the cloud storage, the social destinations, and advertising destinations. Those are all natively integrated within the platform. But those that are not natively integrated, and particularly those that are both Adobe and non-Adobe destination type, you need to configure data collection extensions, and you also need to create a property tag that allows you to define what type of information you want to be able to collect and how you're going to send it out to your destination of your choice. So the last mile for our end-to-end managing data with the platform is we've created segments based on the last demo, which is demonstration 4. Now we want to find a way by which we can actually activate the qualifying profile fragments as audiences so we can then export that to a particular destination of our choice.
Having discussed about the ability to create segments, creating segments in itself doesn't do us any good until we can activate it as an audience to an activation channel for specific marketing actions of our choice. So in this final demonstration, we are going to try to activate the audience that we created for male profiles who have viewed Nadia products. And so we can use them specifically for a particular marketing action. For us to be able to do that, we need to identify the destination on which we want to activate the segment as an audience. The configuration of the destination is the responsibility of the data engineer. So we are going to assume now that a destination already exists, and all we are going to do is to select the specific segment and be able to activate it and do the configuration and schedule it for export to the destination. In our case, we are going to try to export it to an Amazon S3 bucket destination. And there are several ways by which you can achieve that. One way to do that is to go to the connections and look for the destination connectors that are being configured for that. And so if I go to destinations and I look and browse on the destinations, I should be given the name of the destination by the data engineer on which I will activate my segment. There is a destination called Adobe Summit 22 AEP Sec to AWS S3. That is the destination that we've been handed over by the data engineer. That's one way to do that. Another way to do that is to actually go to the customer workspace and go and click on the segments. And from within that segment, you can then choose to open that particular segment and the one that we just created in the demonstration file. And so if I click on this particular segment, on the last card to the right, it actually gives me the opportunity to activate this to a particular destination, which means select it so that we can export the individual fields and the records that we want to export to the Amazon S3 bucket. You could also choose the activate to destination on the top right hand side, or you click on activate destination. Either way, it takes you to where you will then begin to select the destination on which you want to activate the qualifying profile fragment to be exported to the Amazon S3. So if I click on activate to destination, you will then see that it takes me to the list of the destination. And in this case, we've decided that we are going to choose the Adobe Summit 22 AEP Sec to AWS 3. So I'm going to select the radio button, and you can see that currently there are no segments that have been activated on this destination. So I will then go to the top right hand side and click next. When we do so, it will then give us the responsibility to create and configure the schedule and also the frequency and the export type. So I'm going to start with the schedule, and in the schedule we will be able to select the frequency. So if I click on the pencil icon, which is the edit icon for the schedule, it launches the schedule user interface. And it gives me the ability to do a full export, or gives me the ability to do an initial export if this is the first time doing the entire snapshot, and the subsequent one will be the delta between the last segment and what is new. For now, I'm just going to leave it as a full export. And when I do that, it gives me the opportunity to determine the frequency. If I decide that I'm going to do it once, that's fine. But if I'm going to do multiple times, maybe on a daily basis, it will again give me the opportunity to specify the start date and the end date. In this case, it's assuming my start date to be a future date. And so if I choose to begin the export tomorrow, and let's say that we are going to end the last export to be on the 8th, maybe it's for just that period of time. So right here, you can see that it gives me the ability to decide the 5th and the 8th, and you can see it reflected, after which it's no longer going to export. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that and click create. So it's going to be a daily basis between the February the 5th and it will end up on the February 8th starting from 1 a.m. and it's going to be a full export. Now, the way the file is designed, it actually uses the destination name, the segment ID, and you could actually provide for the actual segment name into it. So if I click on the pencil, I can include the name of the segment, and you could also use datetime or timestamp and provide a custom text if you choose to. I'm not going to do that. You can see that when I click on apply changes, now I have the full name that also reflect the segment name to give me an idea what the segment is all about. So now that we have done those configurations in this as a second step, the next step is to select the list of attributes whose profile information we want to export to the Amazon S3 bucket. So on the top right hand side, I'm going to click next. And when I do so, by default, it will give me a few selected schema field name, including the first name, the last name, the email address, and the segment status. So let's make an assumption now that whatever profile fragment fields that we are going to export, we may want to use it for email marketing. We may want to use it for direct mail. We may want to use it for SMS messages. So which means we need to add additional field for that will be used for direct mail, including the address. And so we will go to the top left-hand side on the schema field and click add. And I will select the field, click on the field selector icon, and I'm going to start with the home address for direct mail. So if I do that, I'm going to choose the city. I'll do the same by adding a few more fields. And in this case, I'll go to the home address again. I will choose the country. And I'm going to add a few more fields. And in this case, I'll go to the home address. I will choose a country code if it's so desired. I will go and add a few more fields to complete my direct mail field requirements. And in this case, I'm going to choose the state. And I'll add some few more fields. And in this case, I'm going to, apart from state, I'm going to choose the postal code or the street address. So here we are. This is the street. So I'm going to choose that, and I will go back in there and select maybe the postal code under the home address. So here we are, and this is my postal code. So let's assume that this is sufficient for me to do all the necessary direct mail, but I have email for email marketing. The last thing that I want is the mobile number. So I'm going to add one more field and click on the field selection icon, and there's a mobile phone object, and underneath that I have the number, and I'll do select that. So I have all the necessary field that will be exported out of the platform to Amazon S3 to fulfill my desire to do a direct mail, my desire to do an email marketing, and also my desire to do an SMS messages. Associated with that, it gives us the ability to decide which one of these fields will be required. So if I don't choose any one of them, all the qualified profiles will be exported regardless of the selected attribute. For now, I'm just going to leave it that way. And then finally, it gives me the ability to select my deduplication keys, one primary and one secondary. After I choose that, it does not allow me to choose any other field. So in this case, I'm going to use the email as one of my the duplication key, and I'm going to choose the mobile number. And as soon as I do that, you can see that all the other fields are disabled. So now that I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and click Next. And now it gives me a summary of my definition for the activation of my qualifying profile fragment in as an audience. It's an Amazon S3, it's connected, and then I have the setup, which include the segment, the number of fields, attributes included, and it gives me the summary of everything here. Now I'm ready to go ahead and schedule for the export. So when I click finish, it will then give me an indication when it will start, and this is going to start in from tomorrow. The run will show up and says it's been successfully exported. So on the other side of the activation channel, I have to find a way of creating a configuration from any of my campaign tools so that I can extract the field and use them for the appropriate campaign. And here you can see the summary of the segment name, the start date, the end date, the frequency, the full type, and also the segment description that I have provided. And on the bottom right hand side, under the segment activation properties where it says marketing actions, it's been enabled for cross-site targeting. It's been enabled for email targeting, and it's also been enabled to be used for on-site personalization. So that completes our overview of how to activate segments as audiences on a specific activation channel.
We started off looking at the managing data end to end from sources into the platform repository, talking about data governance, talking about the ability to verify the data get ingested into the platform, also talking about providing some under control and accessibility of the data, and eventually how do we export the segments as audiences on a specific destination. So the next question is, what's next? We have at Adobe Digital Learning Services, we have a global network of experienced instructors in various regions that will provide for real life in-person and also instructor-led virtual training. So if you want to learn more about our services, please, we'll give you the opportunity to also look at that. We have most complete up-to-date training through various close ties with our product engineering and consulting teams. So everything that we showcase in our training has some use case scenario backed by it. Like I said, we have different modalities for training. We have in-person instructor-led training. We have a virtual instructor-led training. And then we have track record of delivering success, enabling our partners and enable our customers to be successful in our journey. Where to learn more about this Adobe Experience Platform? You could access the Experience Link. So you don't necessarily have to have a subscription to that. It's a free online service that you can learn about. There are specific classes that we have defined, and those are listed here. Getting started is a 2-day class. We have implement application services powered by the Experience Platform. It's also a 2 days. We have extend and customize Adobe Experience Platform to include the ability to create schemas, data sets, ingestion data using your own sandbox is also available. We have how to create and activate segments. We also have the extend data capabilities, and there are more to come. This is just as the moment. These are the ones that we have. And if you want to learn more about on-demand learning subscription, please feel free to click on that link and visit our learning.adobe.com to learn more about the great things that we are doing to ensure that you are successful in implementing your Adobe Experience Platform. And thank you for the opportunity to interact with you.